something that came up on the Twitter space. And a statement was made that Jeff Hardy said let me quote this in the best way. Had he have been able to take advantage of his full capabilities in the 20s and in his 20s and his 30s, we know what we're referring to with Jeff's past and what he's had to deal with up here, that he would have been as big as John Cena is today. Now, I want to know from y'all, would Jeff Hardy be GOAT status like John Cena today if the path he had chosen today been more of a straight and narrow one and was a full focus?
Dude, it's hard for me not to think that he's right, because those pops that he would get on a weekly basis, and when he won that title, how crazy that was. You still had kids coming to shows dressed like Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was like playing a video game, man. He was that first video game character in WWE. And if he had, didn't have so many vices or demons at the time, Jeff Hardy was one of the most popular superstars on the roster, man. I think he could have had a good run at being at the level of John Cena, because we didn't think this picture right here would ever happen with Jeff Hardy. At least I never saw it.
It never popped in my head like that. No,
it was one of those moments like Kofi Mania, wasn't supposed to happen, but it did.
But it happened multiple times too, because World Heavyweight Champion, WWE Champion, I think twice. It happened a couple of times.
But people will go crazy. We go crazy for Jeff when he comes. Still do, right? I just think, when we saw his story from being like a jobber all the way to that. The TLC matches had great matches. I do think he could have been on that level if the straight and narrow path was taken.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that's not the story for everybody. But
it's not. But
he does have a good following still. Like Jeff Hardy's like a cult now.
Yeah.
It's like if you like him, you love him. And when you shows up to the party, you're all for it, man.
Honey, your thoughts? If Jeff Hardy would have been on the straight and narrow, would he be as big as John Cena is today?
Yes. And I think he would have also come up with a lot of different versions of himself. I mean, we've seen a lot of different versions of Jeff Hardy, in this, universe and space in his career. But if he was on the straight and narrow, this would have definitely been a very well thought out kind of character. He could have really dug into being a villain in a lot of cases. Maybe that, that Joker to Cena's Batman, you know what I mean? I feel like he could have really had a cool, maybe not cool. I mean, not that he wasn't cool already. Jeff Hardy was always cool, but I just feel like it would have been a lot more, impactful and a lot more iconic run if he kind of went in that Sting route, that protagonist, antagonist, or that vigilante kind of character as well. I think Jeff definitely would have been as big as John Cena. He could have, yeah, for sure.
Let me explain why that shit would have never happened.
Come on, man.
Really? You got no imagination today.
No. It has nothing to do with him. I don't think Vince would have made that happen.
Oh, well.
I think there's certain eras that we went through, Jeff wouldn't survive. Jeff would not have survived the PG era and the reality era, because of how they were moving and how the times they were going. Because of Jeff's creativity, they would have put him in a box. They would have pigeonholed him from really being who he was. And I think they would have salted his product. And that's the thing, because if you look at all the creativity he has had from the Willow and everything like that, I could see them really knocking down Vince knocking down that character. Because if you think about during the John Laurinaitis eras, you had no charismatic person like Jeff Hardy.
No.
We didn't have characters like that. We didn't have folks like that moving around. Like hell, even Undertaker had to come back as a dead man.
Right.
And the Sage Point, he was a risk taker. And it was like that era had passed now. And so I don't think they would. I think you know what would have mainly happened? He'd have hit a Stardust moment.
Oh.
He would have had to have left like he did. I think it would have still turned into the way it would have turned into because of the management, not Jeff.
Yeah, and even during this time, Jeff was better on the microphone than he had been while he was running as champion. Because before he wasn't that great on it. Like he had his up and downs, but
rarely talked.
Put this strap on him.
He was built. He was built to be a champion. Yeah, he was built to be a champion.
Yes.
But I think creative would have failed him. And that's why I think it would have still played out the way it played out now, just not so many of the demons and vices he would have had to face. But I think creative would have failed him to not turn him into John. Because it'd have been hard to package him. Like, I don't know about him going into the acting roles. Like, as much as him and Taker went, like Jeff Hardy versus The Rock, that'd have been a hard match to sell from a Vince McMahon side. Me, I'd have loved to seen that shit.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, you're right. Because now I'm thinking like the path that John Cena had. Let me insert Jeff Hardy into these positions. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he had great chemistry with CM Punk. That was an amazing rivalry.
Yeah,
but it's like, do you get the full on crossover appeal that you would get with a Cena with a Jeff Hardy?
And that's what you have to start considering.
We still selling merch though. We're still selling merch.
Oh, yeah, we still there.
But do you get that overall impact that Cena had? That's tough. Like that's his stuff was unprecedented, man. So it's kind of hard to put somebody else in those shoes and say like, hey, could you do this?
Yeah. And that's the reason. That's the only reason why I said, did he have the capability to do it? Absolutely would have. But I think there's so many elements there that would have been against him to where it would have, if anything, probably sent him down that path that he had, that we saw him go on. Yeah, just because of
like getting into Hollywood and doing movies.
Trying to do TV shows, trying to sell these things. And it's just like, okay, like, you know, are we still doing the face paint era? And it's like, well, no, we want you to move like this now. No, we want you to do this. We want you to go here now. We want you to move like this thing. When he won these championships, it was because he was popular and over with the fans. He had respect of the wrestlers. But now when you get to the creative and the media side, would he have been able to capitalize like John? And again, I think a lot of from the creative standpoint and from the business side of it, I think they would have failed him. So that's just, so again, do I agree he could have been as big as John? I think he had the potential to.
Yeah, that's the word, potential.
Yeah. But I still think the route that was even still taken with Jeff of where he's went, where he's been, I think that still would have happened because you would have needed to leave WWE at one point to be able to get into the creative enigma that you became. Because think about it, we wouldn't have got Broken Matt Hardy had Matt Hardy not left.
No.
And that's one of his greatest roles.
Yeah.
And we already know, if you think about it, Vince would have never let him run with that.
Matt, what was Matt when he went single? Mattitude, was that it?
Attitude.
Version 2.0. Version 1 or something like that.
Yeah.
I love that. Boy, I love that. That entrance with the internet box, like the Windows Media box. So good. It was skipping.
Pass.
But right there it was like pass. That's Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes. I'd rather broken Matt Hardy.
Yeah, all day. And imagine Willow. Like Willow probably would have never happened to WWE. They'd have never gave us Willow.
Nah, they're keeping him just like this.
And then at that point, this would have gotten stale, especially with the new superstars that started to come in.
Yeah,
So,
Shannon Moore was a part of it. Yeah, Shannon Moore was his
mhm.
MFer, a Matt follower.
Yep. That's when we got him in the MVP run and them as tag team
Oh
champions.
God.
For MVP's entrance, man.
Yes.
The
Yes.
tunnel, the fire,
The fire,
the
jumping
smoke.
up.
Man had a full NFL entrance.
Had a
Team
full
entrance.
NFL.
Team entrance for him.
Oh,
Imagine
the biggest contract acquisition signed ever. I'm like, yeah, he had
a team entrance for one person.
Mhm.
Like,
But
imagine.
But again, with that, they failed him.
They did.
him because he should have been a champion. He should have been a WWE
He
champion.
should have been. You're right.
Because him and Booker would have had fantastic rivalries with each other.
Well, you look between that whole time too, like who was coming up with like Jeff and John.
Mhm.
Like Carlito was in that mix, you
Yeah.
know, like Randy obviously, but there was like a lot of young talent at the time for this
Mhm.
new generation of WWF or WWE that I don't know, they just stay middle of the card somehow.
Their gimmicks failed them during this time. Like Carlito was great, but you kept sending him around the apple. It's like, yo, just let Carlito wrestle. Like Carlito was a great wrestler.
Carlito's Cabana.
Yeah, like I love Carlito, but it didn't need the whole like y'all centered around him spitting an apple in somebody's face. And it's like, yo, but this dude can wrestle.
He can go, yeah.
Same thing with Shelton Benjamin. Like it's like, oh,
True.
he's the gold standard. It's like, yo, bro, him and Shawn Michaels still had one of the most memorable matches on Monday Night Raw ever.
On a Raw.
Till this
Raw.
day.
To this day. And it's like, but y'all slipped on it. Y'all didn't know what to do.
That match, I absolutely love the commentary, man. Like King and JR were on point with that one.
That's one of the Raws I would have loved to have been at live in person.
Oh, to see that? To see that ending too?
Yes. That's one of those, like, I wish I'd have been in the arena.
JR, it's academic. 1, 2, 3. Yes. King
Yes.
yelling.
Yes. So, but we want to know in the comments from y'all, how do y'all feel about that? Could Jeff Hardy has been as big as John Cena had he stayed on the straight and narrow? Let us know your predictions about AEW's Grand Slam, NXT Vengeance as well. Both of those are coming out today. It is a great day to be a wrestling fan. Make sure you check that out. Also, how you feel about the selections of champions that will be facing the Royal Rumble winners. We won't bring up One Has to Go just for Honey's PTSD sake. We will not mention that. But as y'all know, we always get into shooting the shit afterwards. We're going to kind of keep it a little not short, but we're not going to go as long because we do got another show that we got to shoot later that we cannot wait for y'all to see because Kayfabe is getting bigger and we are glad that y'all are rocking with us. But before we get out of here, I want to let my esteemed hosts always be able to let y'all know where y'all can follow and support them. We're going to let the People's Nightmare go first since he does not support Black History Month, obviously.
Or Kofi Mania.
Or Coffee Mania.
Oh, man.